Hi. God commands that we study to be quiet. And so I pondered about that, and I know it's opposite of the loud woman in Proverbs whose feet are never at home. And you see many women politicians, the Women's March, on TV, just so loud, yelling, demanding their rights, not having a meek and quiet spirit. God definitely wants us to be quiet, to learn to be quiet. I don't think it comes naturally to most of us, and to have meek and quiet spirits. And I believe the best place we can have this is in our home and learn it. Because out in the workforce, there's a lot of competition. It's a man's world. The workforce is a man's world. We were not created for the workforce. Women have twice the stress-related health issues and diseases than men who are in the workforce. We were created for the home, to live quietly and meekly in our homes with a quiet and meek spirit. And then the next part of that verse says to work with our hands. And I'm reading this book by Jill Winger about how there's a huge connection between our hands and our brain. And we're not meant to just scroll through our phones all day or even type on our laptop or whatever. We're to work with our hands. God commands that we work with our hands. Everything God commands is good. He commands us to learn to be quiet. Let's learn to be quiet. He commands us to work with our hands. Let's work with our hands. And so how do we do this in our homes? It's a huge asset to our husbands if we learn to work with our hands and become producers instead of consumers. I'll just tell you some of the ways that I am a producer in my home instead of a consumer. I dye and I cut my own hair. It probably looks like it, but I don't care. I did not like spending so much money and time at the beauty parlor. And so I just learned to do it myself, and it's easy. The only jewelry I wear is a ring. I love not worrying about jewelry anymore. I wear very little makeup. I make everything from scratch. I make whole wheat bread for my husband. I make sourdough for my youngest daughter and her family. I make a couple loaves a week for them. I make chicken broth. I roasted chicken and use the chicken broth to make soups. I use that broth to make rice or whatever that makes it a lot healthier. I make my husband's pizza now from scratch, the pizza dough and the sauce. I do everything I can from scratch. Everything in our home is almost a hand-me-down or we bought it used. I don't care about having an extravagant, gorgeous home. I feel like I do have a beautiful home and I'm so thankful, but I don't care about decorating it with the latest fashions. I don't care about decorating myself with the latest fashions. I've never been into that. I don't like to shop. I never have, which is a huge blessing. I don't have that many clothes. As you've probably seen, I wear the same thing over and over again in my videos. And I think through the many years of being so sick with a brain tumor, parasites, neck fusion, I've really learned to live out the phrase, godliness with contentment is great gain. I love my house to be uncluttered, clean, and comfortable. I don't care about every wall being decorated. Most of my walls are decorated with biblical quotes or pictures of my family. I love those. When people walk in my home, I want them to know that I love the Lord and I love my family. Those are priorities in my home. And I try to make as many things as I can. When I was younger, I loved sewing and cross-stitching and even knitting and crocheting. But since I have such a bad neck, I can't look down anymore for long periods of time or else I'm in a lot of pain. And I garden a little bit, but I can't even do that a lot. So my health has caused me to not be able to do a lot of things that I love to do. But I still do as much as I can. Like I'll do puzzles with my grandchildren and color with them and things like that. But even the puzzles, I can't look down for very long. So you do what you're able to do. But even this morning, I got up and I made some tallow lotion because I'm tired of spending a lot of money on toxic-free face cream and lotions for my body, and I'm older, so my skin gets really dried out. So I made this tallow, and I guess that's what people used before lotions were made. I just added some avocado oil to it and some essential oils, and it's great. And it's most like what our skin makeup is, what it's made out of. And so it's nice and creamy, and I can't tell you exactly what the long-term benefits are because I just started using it today. I have used it in the past some, and I know that it does work. It does keep my skin from being dry and peely looking. But anyway, women, just learn to live within your husband's income. Don't buy things that you don't have money for. I read the Tightwad Gazette many years ago, over 25 years ago, because it was before we moved into this house. And I was just drawn to that, living simply and frugally. I like that. I don't like consuming. I'm really careful about not wasting anything, food, electricity, water. I just like to live as lightly and as simply as possible. And so I don't leave my home a lot. I go to church. I go out with my sisters for our birthday. And what else do I do? Oh, I go shopping. That's about it. And I really love to be home. I walk around the area of my home. My grandkids come here, and I care for my grandkids a lot. And I love just spending time with family, my children and grandchildren. And I sit out in front with them, and I get to know my neighbors. All of my neighbors know me, and I know them. So I just like the simple life. I've always just been drawn to that. I don't like the extravagant, gaudy, have a bunch of stuff, debt-ridden life. I don't like that. I like to be able to live simply within my husband's income. When I married him, he didn't have any money, and we lived in a little 10 by 50 foot trailer for the first several years, that we rented for about 9 years. But we've always lived within our means. We bought cars used. We just have always been drawn to that lifestyle. He was raised a missionary kid, so he was used to living that way. So anyway, women, I listened to a sermon by John MacArthur last night about being good stewards of our money, especially as we see what's happening in the financial part of our country, and how you can see it's just going to tank, and that we just need to be good stewards. But read Psalms 37. God says that he never sees his children going hungry, or even in Matthew 6, that he will clothe and feed us. So we don't need to live in fear. We walk by faith, but we're good stewards, and we do the best that we can, and we learn to be quiet, and we work hard with our hands. It's good for us. It's not good for us to sit around and do nothing all day looking at TV and our phones. It's good for us to work hard and accomplish and produce. All of God's commands are for our good. So anyway, have a good day. Bye-bye.